Hey everyone, in this video I'll show you how to use DaVinci Resolve. In order to do so, first off, when we open up DaVinci Resolve for the first time, then you're going to be met with the project library here, and from here you can either select new project, or in this case, usually I believe it'll start here with untitled project. So if we go ahead and click on that, then that will also start a new project as well. This is not going to be an exhaustive, in-depth tutorial of DaVinci. This is just going to be kind of a basic overview and just to get you started. So once you have opened up a new project, then you should be seeing a screen similar to this, and you can see here that you have a variety of options at the bottom. That's where you're going to be doing the majority of your work. It will default to the cut page, and from here you can begin to import your media. Now, just a note about DaVinci Resolve: if you haven't ever used it before, then it might be a little bit confusing in regards to the setup and just why everything is laid out the way that it is. Why is it that it starts here on the cut page? All of that, we'll just try to do a quick high-level overview of the reasons behind that. But in order to start, let's go ahead and begin to add some media here. There's a couple ways of doing that. You can either right click here in your media pool, and then from here you can see where it says import media. Otherwise, what you can do is you can also open up your folder, and then you can just drag and bring something in from there. We'll go ahead and we'll just import from here. And I have a file that's ready to go. So we'll go ahead and we'll bring this file in. And here it's going to ask you if you want to change the project frame rate. Typically speaking, I just select change, and that will match the project frame rate to the media that you're importing. Now, if you have media that you're importing that is of a different frame rate, then you might want to bring in the media first that has the frame rate that you're looking for. If you're not sure about that, I would recommend going and doing a deep dive on frame rates and getting some more information on that. But we're going to go ahead and just start here with our project and give you an idea of how this works. So we've brought in our project, and now what we want to do is we want to bring it into our timeline. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just drag that. We're going to bring that to our playhead here, and once you'll see here that once you bring it in, then it'll show up there. Another thing you can do is you can also just bring it into your timeline here, and if you drop that, it'll do the same thing. And what the cut page does, which is where we are here, is it's going to give you an overview of your entire project. In this window here, this is going to give you exactly the length of the project, and so this makes it really easy to go through your entire project and just find exactly where it is that you're looking. If you need to make any edits or anything like that, this is just a nice overview here. So if you have multiple clips that you're bringing in, then you can just always come to this page to see a overview of the entire project. From here, if you want to do some edits, then there's a couple ways of going about this. One is you can either click the clip here, and then you can clip here. You have your split clip. You'll see there that it splits the clips. The other thing that you can do is you can also use hotkeys, and that is a whole other tutorial as far as hotkeys go, because hotkeys are something that if you want to use DaVinci as efficiently as possible, then I would definitely recommend that you take a closer look at the hotkeys that you can use. In this case, we'll go ahead and just give you an example here, and what we're going to do is we're going to select Control B, and Control B basically does the same thing as splitting the clip. So that's an example of a hotkey that if you learn how to use it, then it's just going to save you a little bit of time from going over here and clicking around and all that kind of stuff. So that gives you an idea. We'll just take a quick look here at the media section, and the media section is just a place where if you want to start here and bring in your media, if you have a variety of clips that you're bringing in and you just want to start here by bringing in folders and bringing in your media and having like an overview look of your project, then you can do that depending on what it is that you're doing. So if you only have one clip, then it's probably easiest to just start with the edit page and just start bringing it in there. But this gives you an idea of what to expect on the cut tab. So you've got your media tab, you've got your cut tab, and now we're going to select the edit tab. And with the edit tab, this is where you're going to most likely be doing the majority of your work. There's a lot of different options here to work with as far as just basic editing, and you can do, there's a lot of similarity here basically between the cut tab and the edit tab. The cut tab is just much more concentrated view where you don't really have a lot of the additional issues or views options and whatnot. But in the edit tab, you'll see here that you have your different video transitions. So you've got your cross dissolve, you've got your additive dissolve, you've got a lot of different options here that you can play with. And what you can do is if you want to bring in a cross dissolve, then you can just bring it into the project, and you can see there that you'll get a little bit of a highlighted view, and that gives you an indication that that's going to bring in the cross dissolve there. One thing that I found is there are times when you might bring in a transition and it doesn't stick, and that can be a little bit confusing. In situations like that, the way around it I have found is basically just to move your clips and stagger them a little bit, and then what you can do is you can bring your cross dissolve in and you can add that there, and then you can add the next dissolve at the clip on top of it, and that will essentially have the same effect. There's some more information as to exactly why that happens. It has something to do with the kind of clips that you're using, but that is just something to keep in mind. If you're frustrated with that, then that's the solution, is just to stagger your clips. Here you'll see you have a variety of other options to look through. You've got your audio transitions, you've got titles that you can use, lots of different options here if you want to bring in some titles, generators. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that you can bring in, lots of different effects and whatnot, gradients, glows, speed lines, etc., etc. There's some really cool stuff in here, and as I said, we're not going to get too deep into it here because I just want to give you a general overview of how this works. But you'll see that you have a lot of different options here with the free version, and there is also a paid version where you can get a lot more options, like more in-depth with masking. You got the magic mask option there. You've got a lot of different effects, etc., that you can use with the studio version. That being said, the free version is insanely robust. It has way more than you could possibly want in many regards, depending on what it is that you're looking to do. It's really quite amazing what DaVinci Resolve is capable of, even in the free version. So I'd recommend going through. There's a lot of tutorials out there, and it can be overwhelming. So it really is about knowing what it is that you want to accomplish. Don't get too overwhelmed. If you are just looking for some basic editing functions and some transitions and stuff, then you're probably not going to spend too much time outside of just the editing tab. And to that point, let's go ahead and take a look at the Fusion tab here. And we are not going to do an in-depth on the Fusion tab because, quite honestly, it is a lot. And this is where, if you are into visual effects, this is where you're going to be spending time. And from everything that I've found about DaVinci Resolve, I mean, this is like a whole other program to itself. The kind of things it is capable of for visual effects is pretty amazing. And if you're on this page here and you don't really know where to start, quite honestly, unless you're looking to get into visual effects, you're probably not going to spend too much time in Fusion. That being said, if you want to get into Fusion, there are a lot of tutorials out there that you can take a look at, and they get super in-depth with how this works. And DaVinci Resolve, the way that it handles effects is it's a whole education on its own. So I'd highly recommend that you look at some of the other tutorials that are out there and do a deep dive on Fusion if that's something that you are interested in. We're not going to get too deep into this now because we're just trying to do a high-level overview here. So we'll go ahead and just move on here to the color section. This is where you can work on the color grading for your project, and you'll see that you have a lot of different options here that you can go through. So you could see these different tabs here you can click through, and some of these you'll find more useful than others depending on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And this is another example of if you wanted to do a deep dive on color grading and how this works, there is a ton of information out there, and quite honestly, depending on what you're trying to achieve, you can really go somewhat simple on this. There's certain things that it's entirely subjective. You don't really need to get into all of that, but it's up to you depending on what you're trying to achieve with your project. But you can see here that you've got these various color wheels, and what you can do is by just moving them around, it'll help you kind of get a certain quality that you're looking for. And you also have, so with each of these, you can move these around in the middle in the wheel here, but you can also go to these different sections and you can update your whites and your darks, your reds, your greens, your blues. There's also this wheel here at the bottom. You can move that to your left and the right to darken or brighten. And this is, again, subjective. There's a lot of options in here that you might never need, but if you want to get into it and you really are interested in color grading and knowing how to dial things in, you can spend a lot of time here. So, but just to give you an idea of how this works, you can go through these different options, and all you got to do is just click on each of them here, and then you just move your mouse to the left or the right, and that's going to change the quality of the image. So depending on what you're looking for, you can spend a lot of time here playing with this, and there are different tabs here for you to look at, and all of these are going to have a slightly different effect on the image. And again, this is all very subjective, so it's really up to you what it is that you're looking for, how much time you want to spend here, and how much you want to dial this in. So again, if you want to really go deep on this, there's some other really amazing tutorials that are out there, and they will go in depth with this. We'll move on to the next tab here, and this is where you have your sound. And so you can see here you have your audio, you've got various options here for recording, for muting, you've got your master here on the right hand side, your mixer, and you can change your inputs. You can add effects. If you click the plus sign here, you've got a variety of effects that you can go through. And again, very subjective. It depends on what it is that you're looking to accomplish. If you're trying to balance your sound, then you might be interested in compression or limiter. If you want to add a little bit of distortion, a little bit of delay, etc., etc. There is a lot here, and pretty much with each of these sections in DaVinci, you can do a deep dive. There's other tutorials that go much more in depth, but this is just to get you started and give you an idea of how a project might work from start to finish. So again, this is your sound page, lots of different options here to look through. And then finally, we're going to look at the export. So if you click on the last tab here, then this is where you are going to export your project. So first off, you're going to put in a name for the file. So in this case, we'll just say name of the file. We're going to browse for the location that we want to export the file to. So then once we finish exporting, that's where the file is going to show up. So wherever it is that you want this to export when you're done, then you can browse your computer and export that to a specific location. From here, you have a variety of options to consider. If you have something and you just want to export the audio and not the video, then you can actually just unclick where it says export video. And then if you go over to the audio tab, then you'll see here that you can change your format. If you want to put it exported as a WAV file, you can do that. I found this very useful in certain instances where I just want to have the audio file. You can there's other tools out there you can use, but this is one great reason to install DaVinci on your machine. If you ever need to just export audio, it's very helpful in that regard. If you are looking to export, then in video, you can see here the different formats that it has available, and that's up to you. Generally speaking, I use MP4 for my exports, and then there's a lot of other options here that you can take a look at. Some of these, if you want to do a deep dive and really find out what they do, you can. Generally speaking, you're going to want to make sure that you change your name, location, and also the format. I prefer MP4 over QuickTime. That's up to you. Then from here, you do have some advanced settings here at the bottom, and you even have some subtitle settings here at the bottom. It's up to you how much you want to get into that. Generally speaking, if I'm doing something, a simple project or something like that, I'm just really worrying about the name, the location, and the format. And then once that is all set, you're going to select here where it says add to render queue. And then you'll see that it's going to show up here on the right hand side in your render queue. And once you are satisfied with all the details here, what you can do is you can render all. And once you click that, then you're going to see that it is going to begin to render. And once it's done, it will be exported into the location that you specified. That's all there is to it. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more helpful tips.